Tonight, we begin a quiet journey into the world of dreams. Not the loud, chaotic dreams where you're running late for school, even though you're 29, or the one where your old teacher chases you with a giant spoon. No, not those dreams. We're talking about the ancient kind. The kind people once believed came from gods, spirits, or faraway places we can't see when we're awake. The kind that made wise kings nervous, made shamans sit up straighter, and made ordinary people whisper around their fires at night. So let's settle in. Take a slow breath. Let the day fall away piece by piece. Because for thousands of years, humans looked up at the night sky, wondered why we sleep, and believed dreams were more than just random stories in our heads. They believed dreams were clues, messages, warnings, gifts, and sometimes annoying puzzles nobody could solve. But before we step into the temples, pyramids, and ancient forests of dream history, let's start with something simple. What are dreams? At least from the modern point of view. In easy words, dreams are the mind having a little behind the scenes movie night while you sleep. Your brain doesn't fully shut down. Instead, it sorts memories, emotions, random thoughts, unfinished conversations, and that embarrassing moment from 10 years ago that suddenly wants attention again. Your brain takes all these pieces and says, "All right, let's mix them into something." And boom. Now you're riding a horse made of noodles, or talking to your fridge like it's your best friend. Modern science says dreams help you process feelings, clean your memory, and keep the brain running smoothly. But this idea is very new. Thousands of years ago, people thought very differently. Imagine this. You're lying outside on a warm night. There are no buildings, no street lights, no buzzing phone. Just the open sky, full of stars. The fire is low, the wind is soft, and slowly you drift off. And then you dream. In your dream, your ancestor visits you and gives advice. Or an animal speaks. Or you see a sign about tomorrow's hunt. Now, if you're living thousands of years before Google, before textbooks, before sleep scientists with white coats and fancy brain machines, would you think this dream is random? Of course not. You'd think it meant something. And that is exactly how ancient civilizations viewed dreams. They didn't have science or apps or journals telling them, "Relax. It's just your brain doing housekeeping." To them, dreams were serious. Dreams were important. Dreams were the bridge between the world of humans and something greater. Some cultures believed dreams came from the gods. Others thought they came from ancestors. Some believed the soul actually left the body during sleep and wandered around. A very dramatic idea, if you ask me. Imagine waking up and your soul is like, "Bro, you won't believe where I went." But across the world, one thing was the same. Humans believed dreams carried wisdom. Even in small villages thousands of years ago, dreams were shared like morning news. People woke up, stretched, scratched their heads, and said, "I dreamed of a white bird last night," and someone else would nod like a professional dream expert. "Ah yes, that means we will have rain." Did they actually know? Probably not. But they believed, and that belief shaped their whole understanding of life. When we look back at these early dream traditions, one thing becomes clear: dreams gave people comfort. Dreams made people feel connected to something bigger. Dreams helped them make decisions when life felt confusing. And honestly, not much has changed. Even now, if you dream that someone gives you free pizza, you'll probably wake up hoping it's a sign. Humans have always wanted answers, and dreams, strange and mysterious as they are, became one of the first tools people used to understand the world. Now, think about how early humans lived. They didn't have roofs or heaters. They slept under wide skies, surrounded by nature. The night was full of sounds. Wolves far away, crickets, the crackle of fire. The stars felt close. Life was simple, but also a little scary. Everything unknown felt magical. When they closed their eyes and entered a dream, it truly felt like stepping into another world, a world just as real as the one they woke up in. To ancient people, dreams didn't feel like imagination. They felt like travel. They felt like communication. They felt like a secret staircase between the earth and the divine. Also, keep in mind the stories were everything. People didn't have books or movies. Stories were passed down by memory and firelight, and dreams fit perfectly into those stories. A dream wasn't just a dream. It became a legend, a warning, a prophecy. Some dreams even changed the direction of whole tribes or kingdoms. If a hunter dreamed of a mountain lion, maybe the group avoided the forest. If a leader dreamed of a bright sun, maybe the village expected good weather. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't. But the belief was strong, and that's what mattered. Dreams gave people a way to feel safe in a world they didn't fully understand. When storms came, they blamed a dream sign. When good luck arrived, they celebrated a dream blessing. Dreams gave them a story for everything, and humans love stories, especially at bedtime. Tonight, as we explore the history of dream beliefs, remember something important. Ancient people weren't silly or superstitious for thinking dreams came from gods or spirits. They were trying to understand life with the tools they had. And honestly, even today, with all our knowledge, dreams still feel magical. We still wake up from a strong dream and think, "What was that trying to tell me?" We still look up meanings online. We still wonder why certain dreams feel so real. Dreams haven't stopped being mysterious. We've just added more science around them. But the mystery is still there. And maybe that's why dreams are still so fascinating. Because they remind us that not everything can be explained. Some things are meant to feel a little magical. So now, with the night settling in and your mind relaxed, we're ready to travel deeper into the dream worlds of ancient cultures. Worlds where God spoke in symbols, where dream temples stood tall, and where people waited for sleep like it was a sacred visitor. In the next chapter, we'll explore the earliest dreamers, the tribes, shamans, and prehistoric people who first whispered their dreams under the stars. For now, just breathe. Let the soft mystery of dreams settle around you, because our journey into the ancient night has only just begun. If you close your eyes for a moment, try to imagine the world before cities, before writing, before clocks and alarms and notifications popping up every 10 minutes. Back then, life was simple, quiet, and honestly, probably kind of dark at night. And in that darkness, dreams were one of the biggest mysteries people had. This chapter takes us deep into the world of the first dreamers, prehistoric humans and early tribal societies. People who didn't just have dreams, they lived through them. For them, dreams weren't random pictures in the mind. They were serious business, survival tools, spiritual messages, and sometimes warnings from the world beyond. So let's go there, back to a time when fire was the TV, and the sky was basically everyone's roof. To early humans, dreams were not small things. They didn't think, "Oh wow, I dreamed I was running naked through the forest again, weird." No. For them, dreams were signs, clues about the world. If someone dreamt about a storm, the tribe might prepare for bad weather. If someone dreamt about a successful hunt, that meant the spirits were giving their blessing. Dreams were like ancient notifications, except without the annoying sound. People believed dreams could help them survive, and when your whole life depends on hunting, staying warm, or not getting eaten, you take every advantage you can get, even the strange ones. Now, the most important dream people in early societies were the shamans. Think of them as the original dream interpreters, kind of like the first therapists, but with drums, smoke, feathers, and way more dramatic flair. Shamans didn't just see dreams, they traveled in them. They believed that when you sleep, your spirit leaves your body for a little adventure. So the shaman's job was to understand these adventures and explain what they meant for the tribe. If someone fell sick, the shaman might say, "The spirit world is upset. Tonight, I will enter a dream to find the cause." Then they would sit by the fire, close their eyes, and slip into a trance. To the tribe, this wasn't imagination. This was real work, real healing. Dreams were like doors, and shamans held the key. Now imagine standing inside a prehistoric cave. The air is cool, the walls dark, and the only light comes from a flickering torch. Then you look up, and you see animals painted across the walls. Giant bisons, horses, deer, strange symbols, and sometimes figures that look half human, half animal. Some researchers think these weren't just drawings. They might have been dreams. Cave art could be the first attempt in human history to record visions that came from dreams or trances. Early humans might have seen powerful animals during a dream journey and then painted them to honor their strength. Some caves even show figures that look like shamans meeting animal spirits, powerful guides who taught them how to hunt, how to stay safe, or how to find their place in the world. So you could say cave walls were the first dream journals, just a bit harder to carry around. At night, after hunting and gathering was done, the tribe would sit around the fire. The fire was warm, the night was quiet, and everyone could hear the crackling wood. This was when dream sharing happened. It wasn't like today, where we wake up, grab our phone, and instantly forget 90% of the dream. No. Back then, remembering your dream was part of your duty. People would take turns describing what they saw. I dreamed of a white wolf walking beside me. I saw a river that ran backwards. I dreamed of a bird flying toward the sun. These weren't just stories. They were messages. Maybe warnings, maybe blessings, maybe hints from the spirit world. Some dreams were interpreted as signs of danger. Others brought hope. Some dreams told the tribe when to move to a new place, when to hunt, or when to rest. It was like a nightly meeting with the universe. To many tribal societies, animals were not just animals. They were spirit guides. If you dreamed of a bear, it meant strength. If you dreamed of an eagle, it meant vision and courage. A snake dream might mean transformation or sometimes danger, and a deer dream, that meant peace, gentleness, or learning to move quietly. Some tribes believed each person had a spirit animal that appeared in dreams to protect them. Little kids would be watched closely to see which animals showed up in their dreams, and that animal became their guide through life. Even today, some cultures still hold on to this idea that dreams connect us with nature in ways the waking world cannot. Dreams as journeys to other worlds. One of the strongest beliefs among early dreamers was that sleep allowed the soul to leave the body. Not in a scary way, more like taking a night trip. The visits to the land of ancestors, the messages from spirits, their journeys through invisible realms, the meetings with gods or guardians, the warnings about what was coming to early humans. The dream world was as real as the waking world, maybe even more real, because it felt bigger, stranger, and full of power. When they woke up, some people were silent, thinking deeply about what they had seen. Others were shaken, and a few probably woke up thinking, "Why did I dream about falling again?" Because let's be honest, that dream has been around forever. In prehistoric and tribal societies, dreams were woven into every part of life. Into hunting, healing, decision-making, art, storytelling, and spiritual beliefs. Dreams were not entertainment. They were guidance. Today, we tend to think of dreams as random pictures or leftover thoughts. But the first dreamers saw them as gifts, messages from the universe. And maybe they knew something we sometimes forget. Even when the world is dark, our minds can still glow with stories. If you ever wished your dreams came with subtitles, well, ancient Mesopotamia pretty much did that. This chapter takes us back to one of the earliest civilizations on Earth, the land of rivers, temples, kings, and some very dramatic dream beliefs. Mesopotamia, often called the cradle of civilization, was also the cradle of dream interpretation. These people took dreams seriously. To them, dreams were not just random images. Dreams were heavenly emails sent straight from the gods. And trust me, nobody wanted to leave a divine message unread. So let's step into ancient Sumer and Babylon, where dreams had power, kings couldn't sleep without asking experts, and clay tablets held secrets that sound surprisingly similar to modern dream books. Before paper, before diaries, before voice notes, people in Mesopotamia recorded dreams on clay tablets. Yes, clay. Imagine waking up from a nightmare, grabbing a chunk of wet clay, and writing it down before it dries. That's dedication. These dream tablets have been found in ruins of libraries and temples, some dating back more than 4,000 years. They include descriptions of dreams, what symbols meant, the messages from the gods, warnings, rituals to fix bad dreams. Some tablets even had 2 parts: dream on top, interpretation at the bottom, like a built-in tutorial. For the Mesopotamians, dreams were not private. They were shared, studied, and treated like clues from the universe. When something strange appeared in a dream, people didn't say, "Haha, that was weird." Nope. They went straight to the experts. Now, you can't talk about dreams in Mesopotamia without talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest stories in the world. And guess what? It's full of dreams. Gilgamesh, the great king of Uruk, had dreams that came like movie trailers before big events. For example, he dreams of a meteor crashing to the earth, which in the story represents the arrival of his best friend, Enkidu. In another dream, mountains fall on top of him, symbolizing challenges he will face. None of these dreams were simple. They were symbolic, layered, and dramatic. Basically the ancient version of a psychological thriller. And every time Gilgamesh had won, he ran to someone wiser for interpretation. Just like people today might say, "I saw a giant octopus chasing me. What does it mean?" Mesopotamians said, "I dreamed a celestial axe was glowing in the sky. Someone please explain." Dreams in their stories always carried messages, warnings, promises, or reminders that the gods were watching. In Mesopotamia, dream interpretation was a real job, not a hobby, not a side gig, a serious, official temple-trained profession. These interpreters were scholars, priests, and experts in symbols. They worked closely with kings, because a ruler's dream could mean war, peace, famine, or divine anger. A king might wake up in the middle of the night, call his servants, and say, "Go get the dream reader. Tell him I saw a lion with wings eating a moon." This cannot wait. These experts used long lists of dream signs to figure out what each dream meant. They memorized thousands of symbols. They also performed rituals to clear away bad dreams, because no king wanted to start the day feeling cursed. The dream interpreters had so much influence that sometimes they were blamed if things went wrong. No pressure, right? Your prediction was wrong. Well, guess who's sleeping outside tonight? Mesopotamians sorted dreams into two main types. Good dreams. These were messages from friendly gods. A good dream might mean success, protection, or a blessing. Examples included dreams about clear water, lions acting calm, stars shining brightly, or walking with a god. Good dreams were welcomed and shared proudly. These were not so nice. People believed they came from angry gods, demons, ghosts, or wandering spirits who got bored at night and decided to scare someone. A bad dream wasn't just a nightmare, it was a warning. Some bad dream symbols included dirty water, a falling buildings, a snake's biting, a darkness spreading, a storm approaching. When someone had a bad dream, they didn't shrug it off. They took action. To fight bad dreams, Mesopotamians created rituals that almost feel like something from a fantasy story. A priest would pour water over the dreamer's hands while reciting prayers, symbolizing the dream being washed away. Certain smells were believed to chase away evil spirits, good for the soul and honestly, good for the room. Small figurines or amulets were kept on bedside tables to guard sleepers. Basically, the first dream catchers. Dreamers sometimes stood at sunrise and said the dream out loud, believing the sun god would burn away any danger. Imagine waking up, walking outside, and yelling, "I dreamed of a giant fish chasing me." The neighbors probably didn't even blink. They understood. One of the most fascinating dream texts from Mesopotamia is the Ikar-Zak-Ku, which basically means the series of the ghost. But don't worry, it isn't as scary as it sounds. This was one of the earliest dream dictionaries in the world. It listed dreams and their interpretations in long, careful lists. Scholars used it to help kings and common people understand their sleeping visions. Some examples might sound funny today. If a man dreams he is eating honey, good fortune. If he dreams he is climbing a roof, danger. If he dreams he sees himself in water, a warning. If he dreams of a bird landing on him, news is coming. Thousands of dream symbols were recorded. It was like the ancient Google of dreams, except carved into clay and probably weighing a few kilograms. These dictionaries show just how much effort Mesopotamians put into understanding the messages they believed the gods were sending. In Mesopotamia, dreams connected humans with heaven. They guided kings, inspired stories, shaped decisions, and filled libraries with clay records. To them, the night was not silent. It was full of voices, God speaking, spirits visiting, and symbols dancing across the mind. And even though the world has changed, their idea still feels strangely familiar. Sometimes a dream feels important, and you wake up thinking, what was the universe trying to tell me? Well, Mesopotamia was asking that question thousands of years ago. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the golden sands of Egypt, stretching endlessly under the blazing sun. Palm trees sway by the Nile, and in the distance, massive pyramids rise like mountains made of stone. Now, imagine the night falling over this land, bringing a quiet stillness. And in that calm, people sleep and dream. In ancient Egypt, dreams were not just random images bouncing around your brain. No, not at all. Dreams were considered powerful messages. Messages from gods, ancestors, and even the afterlife. They were like tiny postcards from the universe, telling people what might happen tomorrow, or the day after, or sometimes hundreds of years in the future. So tonight, let's float along the Nile and explore how Egyptians believed dreams shaped their lives. Long before Google, before books with millions of pages, the Egyptians had their own way of decoding dreams, the ancient Egyptian dream book. Think of it as a guide, a manual, or a cheat sheet for the sleeping mind. It listed different dreams and explained what they meant. Was it good or bad? Was it a blessing or a warning? Egyptians wanted answers, and the dream book was there to provide them. Some entries might feel oddly familiar. Dream of a crocodile, danger or a clever adversary approaching. Dream of a lotus flower, renewal, growth, or sometimes love. Dream of flying birds, messages from the gods or ancestors. Reading the dream book was serious business. People would often consult scribes or priests to interpret their dreams, hoping to understand the message before making big decisions. Now, here's something really cool. Ancient Egyptians built temples specifically for dreaming. These weren't ordinary temples. They were called sleeping temples or dream incubation temples. People believed that if you slept in the right temple, under the guidance of the priests, your dreams would be clearer, more powerful, and directly from the divine. Think of it like a luxury hotel, but instead of room service, you got a prophecy. You would lie down on a soft mat, surrounded by sacred symbols, and drift into sleep. The priests would sometimes whisper prayers or burn incense to help the gods send messages. The goal: to wake up with insight, guidance, or even solutions to problems. It was like a spiritual brainstorming session, but in your dreams. Imagine telling your friends today, "Yeah, I went to the dream temple last night. Got some advice from Ra and Osiris." Feeling good, they might just nod politely and pretend to understand. Pharaohs, the rulers of Egypt, were deeply invested in dreams. They didn't just dream for fun. They dreamed to make important decisions. Before battles, before signing treaties, or before any major political move, pharaohs often sought guidance through dreams. A king might sleep on a sacred mattress in a temple, hoping to see a vision that would reveal whether the next battle would be victorious. Or, if he had a tricky political problem, a dream might suggest which ally to trust or which enemy to avoid. Dreams were treated as serious intelligence reports from the gods. Forget generals and spies. In ancient Egypt, the real strategy often came from a nap. And like most leaders, pharaohs probably had occasional, weird dreams, too. You know, dreams about giant cats walking across the Nile or talking statues giving unsolicited advice. Those were usually interpreted as symbolic, which brings us to the next point. Animals played a huge role in Egyptian dreams. They weren't just cute creatures, they were symbols. Dreaming of a lion might represent courage or divine protection. A crocodile could be danger lurking. Birds often carried messages from the gods. Even snakes could mean transformation, power, or a hidden threat. Not just animals, sacred imagery filled Egyptian dreams. Temples, pyramids, and sacred objects appeared in visions as reminders of divine presence. Egyptians believed these symbols were deliberate, not random. Every detail mattered. Sometimes dreams were colorful and vivid. Sometimes they were strange and mysterious. But the Egyptians never dismissed them. If a dream was confusing, they asked priests or scribes to interpret it. Ancient Egypt took, "What does this dream mean?" very seriously, more seriously than most of us do when we wake up from a nightmare about forgetting our shoes. One of the most fascinating beliefs of ancient Egypt was that dreams could cross into the afterlife. They didn't see life and death as completely separate. Sleep was a time when the soul could travel, communicate with ancestors, and glimpse what lay beyond. Dreams were like a bridge connecting the living with the divine, the past with the future, the mortal world with the eternal. It wasn't just advice or warning. It was contact, connection, communion. Imagine sleeping and seeing a loved one who passed away. The Egyptians might interpret this as a real visit from the afterlife, a gentle message that the spirits were still watching over you. Comforting, isn't it? So, let's step back for a moment. In ancient Egypt, dreams were everywhere. They shaped decisions, guided rulers, offered comfort, and sometimes warned of danger. From scribes keeping careful dream books to temples built just for sleeping and dreaming, every aspect of life acknowledged the power of dreams. Even today, we dream of flying, falling, or talking animals. But in Egypt, dreams were taken seriously. They were respected. They were studied. They were seen as whispers from the divine. And perhaps the most beautiful thing is this: Egyptians believed that through dreams, humans could touch something bigger than themselves. A world of God's ancestors and symbols stretching beyond the Nile and beyond time. Even if you don't live in a pyramid, even if you don't have a temple for sleep, this idea is comforting. Dreams are not just random flickers of the mind. They are little bridges, little messages, little adventures that remind us that there is more to life than the world we see when our eyes are open. So tonight, as you drift off, imagine the Egyptian way. Your dreams are not just your own. They are gifts, messages, tiny glimpses into worlds unseen. Perhaps they are trying to show you something, just like they showed the pharaohs, the scribes, and the people of the Nile thousands of years ago. And as you fall deeper into sleep, think of the soft, golden sands, the whisper of the Nile, and the silent temples where dreams were once considered sacred prophecies. Let yourself drift, because in the next chapter, we'll sail across time and space to Greece and Rome, where dreams became temples of healing, philosophy, and divine mystery. Sleep well, and remember, in the world of dreams, anything can happen. Tonight, let's sail across the Mediterranean, past the sands of Egypt, and arrive in the sun-soaked lands of Greece and Rome. A place where philosophers debated under olive trees, temples welcomed seekers of wisdom, and generals sometimes let their dreams decide the fate of empires. In these ancient cultures, dreams were more than bedtime stories. They were tools, guides, and sometimes the very voice of the gods. So, settle in, breathe slowly, and let's walk through the world of Greek and Roman dreams. In Greece, healing and dreams were closely linked. People believed that sleep could be a doorway to divine guidance, especially when they were sick. That's where the Asclepians come in. Asclepians were special temples dedicated to Asclepius, the god of healing. Visitors would travel long distances to lie down inside these peaceful sanctuaries, hoping to receive visions or guidance through sleep. This practice was called dream incubation. You'd lie on a clean mat, maybe surrounded by olive branches, quiet water, and the soft flicker of oil lamps. Then, you'd drift into sleep. The dream was your healer. It might show a path to recovery, a warning about your health, or sometimes, well, something completely weird. People reported seeing snakes, which were considered sacred symbols of Asclepius. Don't worry, they were usually spiritual snakes, not the "oh my gosh, there's a snake in my bed" kind. Sometimes, the god would even appear directly, offering advice or comfort in a dream. Incubation sleep wasn't just superstition. It was one of the earliest forms of therapeutic dreaming, using sleep and imagination to promote healing. It's almost like a spa for your mind, if your mind had a hotline to the divine. The Greeks took this practice very seriously. People would fast, meditate, and follow strict rituals before sleeping in the Asclepian. They believed that preparing the body and soul made dreams clearer and more powerful. If you think about it, it's actually pretty smart. Modern therapy sometimes uses visualization and guided meditation to calm the mind before sleep. The Greeks were just a few thousand years ahead, with a god on top of it. Dreams often showed patients symbolic cures. For example, a dream of water might mean washing away illness, or a dream of climbing a hill might represent the journey to health. The details mattered. Everything in the dream had meaning. And the results? People often woke up feeling comforted, inspired, and sometimes miraculously better. It's hard to say how much was divine intervention and how much was simply the power of belief. But in the quiet of the night, it all felt very real. While temples focused on healing, Greek philosophers focused on thinking. And they had opinions about dreams, strong opinions. Plato believed that dreams were connected to the soul. He thought dreams could reveal truths beyond the physical world, hints about other realms, and guidance for how to live a good life. Dreams were windows to the divine, whispers from the universe. Aristotle, on the other hand, had a much more practical view. He argued that dreams were reflections of our daily experiences, thoughts, and emotions. To him, dreams weren't magical messages. They were just the mind processing what had happened during the day. The two philosophers often debated this. Imagine them under an olive tree plateau. Dreams are divine. Aristotle: no, they are natural. Plato: divine. Aristotle: natural. And the students probably just nodded, quietly hoping the debate would end before lunchtime. Even today, the question remains, are dreams messages? Or are they just our brain tidying up? The Greeks were already asking this thousands of years ago. While Greek philosophers debated, the Romans were doing something else, letting dreams decide battles. Roman generals, emperors, and even ordinary soldiers believed dreams could predict the outcome of war. A general might dream of a victorious eagle flying over the battlefield, or a falling tower warning of disaster. If the dream seemed good, they marched forward confidently. If it was bad, they might delay an attack or perform rituals to avoid disaster. Some emperors even had personal dream interpreters. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night, having a dream about a storm, and then calling your court advisor. Quick! Interpret this dream! My empire might be in danger. Dreams in Rome weren't just for comfort. They were practical tools, guides to action, and sometimes a reason to blame someone if things went wrong. Because, of course, if your prophecy fails, it's never the dream's fault. It's the interpreter's. And dreams weren't only for kings and generals. Everyday Romans also had dream interpreters. Farmers, merchants, and artisans would consult these experts for guidance. Maybe a dream of a wolf meant they should protect their flock. A dream of rain might indicate a good harvest. A dream of a broken pot. Perhaps a warning to be careful with money. Dream interpreters used long lists of symbols and their meanings, much like the earlier Mesopotamian dream dictionaries. They had to memorize hundreds, sometimes thousands, of images and scenarios. Being a dream interpreter was a serious profession, and probably a little stressful. Imagine trying to explain this dream. I saw a horse carrying a scroll, but it was wearing sandals. The interpreter would nod slowly and scribble notes, because every detail mattered. In Greece and Rome, dreams were woven into daily life, medicine, politics, and philosophy. People believed dreams were real, meaningful, and sometimes divine. Temples offered healing through incubation. Philosophers debated their nature. Generals let dreams influence strategy, and interpreters guided citizens through the mysteries of sleep. Even today, we still wake up wondering about our dreams. Did that odd dream mean something? Should I pay attention? Should I eat a sandwich before bed, or just let the eagle fly? The Greeks and Romans remind us that dreams have always fascinated humans. They've always been a bridge, connecting the practical with the divine, the body with the mind, and the waking world with the world of imagination. So, as you drift deeper into sleep tonight, think of the Asclepians and olive trees, of generals consulting dream signs, and of philosophers quietly debating under the stars. Let your mind wander, let the dreams come, and remember your sleeping thoughts might just be the oldest kind of guidance humans have ever known. And when you wake, you might not remember everything, but somewhere in that quiet night, a little wisdom has visited you. Tonight, let's travel east, far from the sands of Egypt and the olive groves of Greece. Imagine misty mountains, winding rivers, and quiet villages where people have been dreaming for thousands of years. Welcome to ancient China and India, two lands where dreams were not just personal experiences. They were portals to the mind, the universe, and sometimes even past lives. In these cultures, dreams were not random. They reflected balance, morality, and the invisible threads connecting the living with ancestors, gods, and cosmic energy. They were deeper, subtler, and sometimes a little trippy. So, let's settle in and explore how the East viewed the mysterious world of sleep. In ancient China, dreams were closely tied to the idea of balance. The philosophy of yin and yang suggested that life was a delicate dance between opposing forces, light and dark, male and female, active and passive. When someone dreamed, it might be a sign that this balance was off. If you dreamed of falling water, perhaps your energy was flowing too freely. If you dreamed of a dry river, maybe your spirit needed rest. These dreams weren't just personal, they were cosmic messages, reflecting harmony or disharmony in the world and within yourself. Ancestors also played a big role. Dreams could be visits from family members who had passed on. These dreams were guidance, comfort, or sometimes gentle warnings. People would pay attention, listen carefully, and sometimes perform small rituals to honor these nocturnal visitors. And then there was the idea of dream journeys. Ancient Chinese thinkers believed that while you slept, your spirit could travel far and wide, even beyond the mountains and rivers, visiting places your waking body could never reach. Kind of like a spiritual Uber service, but cheaper and quieter. One of the most famous dream stories comes from Zhuangzi, a philosopher who lived around 3rd century BCE. He dreamed he was a butterfly, fluttering happily without a care. Then he woke up wondering, am I Zhuangzi who dreamed I was a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming I am Zhuangzi? This tiny story raises huge questions. What is reality? What is illusion? And what is the connection between the self and the universe? It's a gentle, mind-bending thought, perfect for bedtime pondering. Zhuangzi's butterfly dream reminds us that sometimes our dreams might feel more real than waking life, or perhaps they are the key to understanding it. And let's be honest, it's a little funny to imagine yourself flapping around on tiny wings while your brain debates existence. Meanwhile, in India, dreams were deeply spiritual, woven into the teachings of the Vedas and Upanishads. These texts didn't just mention dreams casually. They explored them as part of consciousness, morality, and cosmic truth. Dreams were thought to reveal hidden knowledge, past experiences, and even glimpses of the divine. People studied them, recorded them, and meditated on them to understand their meaning. Some dreams were considered signs of future events, while others reflected the journey of the soul through life, death, and rebirth. In India, dreams were also linked to karma, the idea that our actions, past and present, shape our future. A dream might remind you of something unresolved, or it could show a lesson from a previous life. In this way, dreams were moral guides as much as mystical experiences. The concepts of karma and rebirth made dreams especially fascinating in India. A dream wasn't just a story. It could be a window into the consequences of your actions. Perhaps you dreamed of a falling tree or a river overflowing. Interpreted correctly, these images were subtle hints: treat others kindly, prepare for change, or reflect on past deeds. Animals, colors, and landscapes all carried symbolic meaning. For example, dreaming of a lotus often represented spiritual awakening, while a snake could signal transformation or hidden danger. Every detail mattered, and dream interpretation required attention, patience, and sometimes a little intuition. People might record these dreams, meditate on them, or discuss them with teachers and sages. It was part philosophy, part self-help, and part spiritual adventure, a very well-rounded bedtime story before the modern pillow talk. Perhaps the most fascinating practice in India was dream yoga. This was not yoga for your body, but for your mind while asleep. Practitioners trained themselves to be aware of their dreams, control them, and use them as tools for enlightenment. Think of it as lucid dreaming, but with a serious spiritual purpose. Dream yoga involved meditation, visualization, and mindfulness during both waking and sleeping hours. The goal was to explore the dream world consciously, to understand the mind, and to realize the connection between dreams, reality, and the soul. It sounds pretty advanced, and maybe a little exhausting. Meditating while awake, then meditating while dreaming, but for ancient yogis, it was a path to wisdom, balance, and inner peace, and probably some very interesting stories to tell at breakfast. In both China and India, dreams were seen as portals, gateways to knowledge, guidance, and spiritual exploration. They were reflections of the mind, mirrors of the soul, and sometimes windows into other realms. Dreams could warn, inspire, heal, or teach. They could connect you with ancestors, gods, and cosmic energy. They could even offer glimpses of past lives or hints about the future. Unlike modern culture, where dreams are often dismissed as nonsense or brain clutter, Eastern traditions treated dreams as meaningful, powerful, and full of guidance. They believed that paying attention to dreams could bring clarity, balance, and a deeper understanding of oneself and the universe. So tonight, as you drift closer to sleep, imagine the gentle wisdom of the East. Picture your spirit traveling over rivers and mountains, visiting ancestors, flying with butterflies, or walking along sacred paths. Imagine your mind gently exploring the hidden layers of reality, guided by cosmic balance and spiritual insight. Dreams might come as subtle messages, strange symbols, or vivid journeys. Sometimes they might make you laugh, sometimes they might make you pause, and sometimes they might just show you a butterfly, fluttering, asking quietly, who really dreams and who really wakes? Take a deep breath. Let your mind wander. Remember that in China and India, dreams were not random. They were doors. Small, secret doors leading to understanding, reflection, and perhaps a little magic. Tonight, let's journey to the far corners of the earth. Close your eyes and imagine misty forests, wide plains, sun-kissed deserts, and shimmering rivers. Here, in the heart of indigenous cultures, dreams were not just personal experiences. They were windows into the spirit world. Across continents, tribal societies believed that the dream world was as real as waking life. Dreams guided hunters, healers, and leaders. They connected the living with ancestors, shaped creation stories, and sometimes even taught the lessons that kept entire communities in balance. So, let's explore how indigenous peoples understood, honored, and traveled through the mysterious realms of sleep. In many Native American cultures, dreams were seen as messages from the spirit world. To protect the sleeping mind, people created dream catchers, delicate webs of string often adorned with feathers and beads. The idea was simple yet beautiful. The dream catcher would catch bad dreams in its web, while letting good dreams flow down the feathers to the sleeper below. Imagine sleeping peacefully while your very own little dream guardian filters out the nightmares. But dreams weren't just about protection. They were messages. Hunters might see visions of animals to help them track or understand nature. Children might dream of spirits teaching lessons about kindness, courage, or respect for the land. And sometimes the messages were playful. Yes, even spirits could have a sense of humor, like showing you a raccoon stealing all your socks in a dream. Dreams were listened to, discussed, and sometimes recorded through stories and songs. They were seen as guides, offering advice from the unseen world. Travel now to Australia, where Aboriginal people have practiced dreamtime traditions for tens of thousands of years. In Aboriginal belief, dreams are deeply intertwined with creation stories. The dreamtime is not just a story, it is a reality that exists beyond our waking life. In this sacred space, ancestral beings traveled across the land, shaping mountains, rivers, and all living creatures. When Aboriginal people dream, they may connect with these ancestors, hearing lessons from the past and guidance for the future. Dreams were seen as a bridge to creation, a way to understand how the world came to be and one's place in it. Even today, these dreams guide ceremonies, art, and storytelling, reminding people of the sacredness of life. And just for fun, imagine dreaming of a giant rainbow serpent slithering across the landscape. That serpent might be teaching you a lesson about balance, or maybe it just wanted to say hello. Across Africa, many tribes believed that ancestors visit the living in dreams. These visits were seen as a form of communication. A dream might guide a hunter to a watering hole, warn of danger, or suggest a cure for an illness. Some tribes even held dream councils, where elders discussed significant dreams from the community. If a young person dreamed of a lion, it might inspire them to take on responsibilities or show courage. If a dream involved a river or rain, it might be a sign to plant crops or move the tribe temporarily. In these cultures, dreams were practical and sacred. They were part of everyday life, guiding decisions and strengthening connections between the living and the spirit world. And, of course, dreams could be whimsical. Maybe a trickster spirit would show up, causing a few laughs, a little confusion, and stories that would be retold around the fire for years. Dreams used for hunting, healing, and choosing leaders. Dreams were not just personal, they were community tools. Across tribes worldwide, dreams helped with hunting. A dream of an animal could guide hunters to the right spot, reveal behavior patterns, or hint at unseen dangers. Healing. Shamans or healers might enter dreams to find spiritual causes of illness, then prescribe remedies, rituals, or guidance. Leadership. Leaders and chiefs were sometimes chosen based on dreams, especially if a dream indicated divine favor, courage, or wisdom. Imagine a young warrior dreaming of a great eagle swooping over the mountains. The elders might interpret this as a sign that the warrior should lead a hunting party, or perhaps the tribe itself one day. Dreams were respected, honored, and trusted. The dream world was as important as the waking world. Ignoring it could mean missing guidance from the spirits, ancestors, or nature itself. Across indigenous cultures, there is a shared belief the dream world is real. Dreams are not just images or fleeting thoughts. They are visits to other realms, encounters with ancestors, teachers, and spirits. What happens in dreams carries meaning, sometimes more than waking experiences. In some traditions, people train to become dreamwalkers, individuals capable of consciously navigating the dream world. They learn to interpret symbols, communicate with spirits, and even guide others through dream journeys. It's a bit like lucid dreaming, but sacred and practical. These dreamwalkers were trusted advisors, healers, and teachers. They reminded their communities that dreams were not frivolous. They were essential, sacred, and deeply connected to life itself. Indigenous dream traditions remind us to listen to our dreams. They encourage curiosity, respect, and a sense of wonder. Whether through the protective webs of dream catchers, the sacred landscapes of dream time, or guidance from ancestors, dreams were, and still are, powerful teachers. They also remind us that the world is bigger than what we see when our eyes are open. Nature, spirits, and unseen forces play roles in our lives. And dreams, they are one of the ways we glimpse that vast, mysterious reality. So tonight, as you drift off, imagine yourself walking alongside ancestors, animals, and spirits. Imagine a fire softly glowing, songs of wisdom filling the air, and dream messages gently guiding you. Let yourself float in that dream world, knowing it is just as real, just as meaningful, and just as magical as the world you wake up to in the morning. Perhaps your dreams tonight will be messages, playful guides, or tiny adventures into unseen lands. And just like indigenous peoples around the world, you can greet them with respect, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. As our journey through time comes to a gentle close, let's pause and think about all the dreamers we've met along the way. From prehistoric shamans to Egyptian pharaohs, Greek philosophers, Indian yogis, and indigenous dreamwalkers. The world has always been enchanted by dreams. And the amazing thing, their wisdom still echoes in our modern lives, softly guiding us as we close our eyes tonight. Dreams, after thousands of years, are still magical. They make us pause, wonder, and sometimes scratch our heads. Why do we dream of flying? Why do we dream of falling? And why, oh why, do we keep dreaming about that one embarrassing moment from high school? Even today, we feel that ancient connection, the idea that dreams matter. Modern dream interpretation owes a lot to the ancient world. Many symbols we recognize today come from old traditions. Take snakes, for example. In Mesopotamia, they symbolized danger or transformation. In India, they often represented change, spiritual energy, or hidden power. And today, they still pop up in dream dictionaries with similar meanings. Even the idea of analyzing dreams for insight traces back thousands of years. Freudian psychology, Jungian archetypes, and modern therapy all borrow from ancient beliefs that dreams reveal something beyond the surface of our minds. The practice of recording dreams, interpreting symbols, and reflecting on their meaning is centuries old. People just gave it fancy names and modern offices. And many of our bedtime rituals, journals, guided meditations, or even talking about dreams with friends or therapists. These are echoes of long, lost traditions where communities shared and reflected on dreams for guidance, comfort, or wisdom. Some dream symbols are surprisingly consistent across cultures and time. Birds often represent messages from the divine or inspiration. Water may symbolize emotions, purification, or change. Flying usually points to freedom, aspiration, or the desire to rise above challenges. Why do we still dream of these symbols? Perhaps because our ancestors first recognized them, and the meaning carried through generations. From Egyptian temples to Greek Asclepians, from Mesopotamian clay tablets to indigenous councils, people have paid attention to these recurring images. Even when symbols vary slightly between cultures, the core ideas remaining dreams reflect inner life, outer reality, and sometimes the invisible connections between them. In a way, dreaming is a universal language, one humans have been speaking for millennia. Today, dreams are studied scientifically, yet the curiosity feels the same as it did in ancient times. Psychologists and therapists explore dreams to understand emotions, stress, fears, and aspirations. They are still guides to the mind, helping us navigate challenges, reflect on experiences, and imagine possibilities. Dream therapy may help people confront fears, work through trauma, or spark creativity. Artists, writers, and inventors have credited dreams with inspiration, sometimes leading to inventions, paintings, or poems. So, even with EEG machines, sleep studies, and therapy sessions, dreams retain their mystical touch. They remain the space where logic relaxes and imagination flows freely. In a way, science is just the modern temple, and our brains are the altars where dreams speak. Despite all we know about sleep cycles and brain activity, dreams remain magical. Why? Because they feel personal, unpredictable, and sometimes uncanny. A dream can transport you to worlds that don't exist, make you meet people long gone, or show impossible events that feel true while you sleep. Thousands of years of belief have taught us to honor this magic. From shamans traveling spirit worlds to yogis practicing dream yoga, humans have long trusted that dreams carry messages, teach lessons, or reveal hidden truths. And we still feel that same wonder today, because dreaming connects us to something larger than ourselves. There's humor in dreams too. Sometimes they are playful, absurd, or downright silly. A cat driving a car, why not? A talking sandwich giving life advice. Sure, in dreams, anything is possible. And maybe that's part of their charm. They mix wisdom with whimsy, showing us that even the mysterious can be light-hearted. Now, as we prepare to drift into sleep ourselves, let's reflect on what dreams have taught humanity. They have guided hunters, healed the sick, inspired leaders, and sparked imagination. They've connected us with ancestors, gods, and the universe itself. Tonight, when your eyes grow heavy and your mind begins to wander, remember the long line of dreamers before you. Imagine the shamans watching over fires, the pharaohs sleeping on sacred mats, the Greek philosophers nodding thoughtfully, the yogis meditating on your breath, and the indigenous dreamwalkers greeting the spirits. All of them once asked the same quiet question you do: what are my dreams trying to tell me? Let yourself float gently, guided by the wisdom of the past and the magic of imagination. Dreams are not just fleeting thoughts, they are bridges. They are invitations to explore, to wonder, and to rest. And tonight, as you sink deeper into your pillow, may your dreams be kind, inspiring, and just a little mysterious. Let them carry you softly into another world, where time, space, and worries dissolve. You are part of a long human tradition of dreamers, spanning thousands of years. And in your sleep, you join them, silently traveling through history, imagination, and the hidden corners of your mind. Sleep well, and let your dreams whisper their gentle secrets, just as they have for countless generations before you.